Hello everybody, welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And again, we would like to thank all of our patrons. We appreciate all tips and support. It's just going to go towards making the channel better and adding more games. If you're curious about it, go ahead and just read the description of the video. And for today, what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about double parking. What is double parking when it comes to dice? Well, one thing that can come up on a hot roll for a come-better is when you are fully loaded, bases are loaded, and the roll is continuing. So let's assume that we're on a $10 table and we are on a 3-4-5 game, say somewhere on the strip, okay? So this player probably has a pass line bet, and if the point is 9, then they will do max odds. So they'll have 40 odds, okay? The beauty of a 3-4-5 table, by the way, is if you do max odds, you will always know what you're getting paid out because your total payout will always be 7 times your flat bet. So he has a $10 flat bet, so his total payout would be $70, $60 for the odds, $10 for the front. Makes it really, really easy as long as you're always doing max odds. So let's say this roll has been going on for a little while. You know, he's traveled to the 10, he's traveled to the 5, he's traveled to the 6, he's traveled to the 8, travel to the 4, and with each one of these he also has max odds. And he's got his come bet. Now, one of the nice things with come bets is that if you already have a come bet out and you have not changed your flat bet, $10 flat bet, $10 flat bet, if you haven't changed it, then nothing actually moves when you're getting paid if you already have a come bet out. So if something were to roll, say a 6, they're just going to give you off and on for $75. That's it. Now, let's say this roll's been going on for a little while and you've been off and on now for 5 or 6 rolls and you're like, I really want to make my bets bigger. How can I do it? Well, there's a couple ways that you can do it. You can do it a slower way, which is to increase your flat bet. Let's say you increase your flat bet to $20. Now you can increase your odds up. The only disadvantage to that is that it has to hit twice in order to get paid for your increased odds. So for instance, let's say in 8 rolls, well, you're going to get paid, you're going to be off for $75 and you're going to be on for $20. Now at that point, you need to go ahead and place your 100 odds, and now you have to wait for it to roll again in order to get paid for that increase in odds. So that's a slower way of doing it, but that will get you, over time, if this roll continues, you will end up with a larger flat bet across and more odds and make more money. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is a put bet. Most places will allow put bets. Put bets are part of the game. There are a couple of casino companies that I know of out here that do not allow put bets. They usually have 20 times or 100 times odds, and they don't allow put bets because they did some really, really bad math and figure that it's saving them a whole ton of money by not allowing put bets. In reality, I'm pretty sure the reason they don't allow put bets is because most of their dealers are break-in dealers, and it gets very confusing for them. But most places will allow put bets. And what is a put bet? Well, a put bet is skipping the come entirely. You can put a number. You can come directly in. Let's say you've been playing for a little while and you've managed to get on every number except the 10. Well, you can say, I want to put the 10 for $10 with 30 odds. And the dealer will say, okay, and they'll go ahead and set you up. The reason for that is because the odds are against you here while the odds favor you in here. So letting you skip the come actually favors the casino. So they're more than willing to let you do that. But it's not just getting onto the point where you can put it. You can also use it to change your bet. So let's say you've had a whole bunch of off and ons and you say, you know what? You say, I want to go ahead and increase my 10. So you will increase the flat bet, which allows you to increase your odds. And you say, I'm going to do the same thing with the 8. I want to increase my flat bet and I want to increase my odds. Okay. Not a problem. It is allowed. And then you do the same thing with, and you can do it with any numbers that you choose. You can do it with every single number if you wanted to. You could increase your flat bet, increase your odds. Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with doing this. So that's another way of, you better increase your come bet if you're going to do that though. That way you stay off and on. That's another way of increasing your payouts. And if you think about it, it's no different than when you're up there, when you're already at max odds and you go, wow, how can I increase it? Well, you can just increase your flat bet, which then lets you increase your odds. Now, why should you not do that? I'll show you why. We've actually discussed this part in the past. Let's say you're at this point. You've got a $25 come bets, $25 pass line bets, all max odds, right? Well, we've covered this in the past in previous videos. Let's say you want to bet more money there. Should you increase your flat bet and increase your odds? No. You absolutely should not, unless you're on a 10 or 20 times odds table. If you're on a 10 or 20 times odds table and you were doing max odds, then absolutely you should do that. Otherwise, what you should do is you should place the point. And we've covered this in the past. Placing the point, you will make more money than if you did a flat bet that pays even money plus odds, unless you're at the 10 times odds level. So if it makes more sense to place the point up there instead of adding to your pass line bet and to your odds, wouldn't it make more sense to do the same thing up here? It's called double parking. You're already in there with your come bets. So now you say, you know what? Let me go ahead and get 270 across. Cool. We will set you up with place bets of 270 across. So now you are double parked. You have both the come bet and you have a place bet. Now, if a number rolls, come bets always get paid first. So you're going to get paid for the first thing first. And I just realized I mispaid that one earlier. It wasn't $75 off and on. It was $70 off and on. Got ahead of myself. Now, with the come bets, you will get paid your $140 off and on. And then after that, you will get paid your $70 or your $98 as a place bet. And with the place bets, then of course you can press and do whatever you wish to do. But this is generally the preferred method of increasing. If you're on a hot roll, instead of increasing your come bet, go ahead and add a place bet to it. You're also going to improve the flow of the game if you actually shy away from your come bets. Unless you're on a 10 times odds table, again, it makes more sense to place it. So, instead of doing these, what I would do is, as I come off for $140, I would probably funnel the 120 I've got here back into my place bet and press it up. I would take the money, take the $140 payout, but I would put the original bet back into the place bet. Place bets are just faster. They take less moves and also don't require the player to lean all the way out on the table to pick up their money because we pay it out beyond the pass line. Requires less moves, it's quicker, it's smoother, it's going to keep the flow of the game going a lot faster. And when you get a hot roll, the game slows down to a glacial pace because you have players that are doing crazy bets, players that are doing crazy presses, payouts that are getting bigger, which means the dealers need to move slower so the cameras in the box can see what they're doing. So it slows the game down. Hot rolls will slow the game down. So everything you can do to increase the speed of the game, all the better. Now, when are there times that you are not going to be able to do double parking? Well, that's when you're approaching table limit at some casinos. Every casino is different within their policies. You know, where I work, we have a table max bet, but that's per bet. So somebody could bet table max come bet with max odds, and then they could go ahead and do a table max place bet. They would be allowed to do that. It would be okay. Other casinos, however, will not allow that. They will have a table max towards a point. For instance, they'll say something like, the max bet is $10,000 to a number. And what would that mean is that would mean that if a player has, say, $1,000 flat bet on the 5 with $4,000 odds, that's $5,000 right there, then their maximum place bet would be $5,000. They would not be allowed to do a $10,000 thing. So some casinos will have a maximum dollar amount towards a number. Others will just have a maximum table bet per bet. So it's important to know that if you were playing table max. Not max odds, but I mean table max bets. Then it's definitely important to know what you can and cannot do. I actually saw somebody that had that happen to them in the field. They were a martingale player in the field, and they ran into table max bet fairly quickly, and they ended up losing a few $1,000s because the martingale double your bet every single time you lose doesn't work long term. So they lost a few $1,000s before they gave up. But they were not aware of the table max. When table max came, they were saying, oh, our next bet is going to be this, and I advised them, actually, it can't because the table max is less than that. Oh, I thought the table max was this amount. No, sir, it's not, unfortunately. So they ended up losing money faster than they thought they would have. So those are different ways that you can increase your bets if you're a combat player and in the middle of a hot roll. Double parking, fairly common. Once you get to a super hot roll, again, not necessarily my preferred method of playing, but everybody has a different method of playing, and there's nothing wrong with this. This is certainly an okay bet. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope it helps you guys with your bets. I apologize for that mistaken payout I did earlier. And thank you for watching, folks. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.